Grade 10s, the task before us has asked us to sketch the graph of h of x is equals to 2 over x plus 1. Now, this is a graph of a hyperbola. We are dealing with a hyperbolic graph. Now, before we can get into the geniusness of sketching the graph of a hyperbola, allow me to share with you my observations, because from where I am standing, it would appear that your poor performances from term 1 to date are demonstrative of the actuality that your educators have been consistently failing to ensure that you achieve level 6 and level 7 in mathematics, physical sciences, and your other subjects. Now, if you want to achieve level 6 in mathematics, ensure that you study with NETA. If you want to achieve level 6 in physical sciences, make sure that you study with NETA. And if you want to achieve level 6 and 7 in your other subjects, make sure that you achieve with you study with NETA, so that you can be able to achieve a distinction and level 6. Now, the way to go through, before we can get into the geniusness of sketching the graph of a hyperbola that has been given to us, let us first touch bases about a hyperbola. Now, we know that a hyperbola is a graph that falls into two quadrants of our Cartesian plane. Let us say this is B. Now, whenever you are given a hyperbola where your B is positive, you should know that your graph is going to fall in the first quadrant and the third quadrant. That's in the case when your B is positive, as it is in our given equation of a hyperbola. You can see that our B is positive 2. That means that our graph should surely fall in the first quadrant and the third quadrant. Now, in every possibility where you have a situation where your B is negative, then it should well be known that your graph is going to fall in the second quadrant and the last quadrant, which is the fourth quadrant. Now, these are the fundamental aspect that you should be well informed of before you can go into the process of drawing the graph. Now, before we can get into the geniusness of drawing the graph, there are few things that must first be taken care of. The first thing is that we have to make sure that we calculate our x-intercept, because the x-intercept is your indispensable criterion that is needed for you to be able to draw the graph. There is no doubt about it. Before you can make sure that you draw the graph, you have to take care of this indispensable criterion, which is your x-intercept. Now, how do we calculate the x-intercept? Now, we know that whenever we calculate the x-intercept, our y will be substituted with 0. Then you substitute your y, which is this h of x, with a 0, and you solve for x. And for those of you who are having a hard time solving for x, make sure that you submit all of that confusion to NETA, so that we can teach you how to solve for x, because solving for x should not be a problem for you. Now that we have our x-intercept, and the coordinates of the x-intercept is -2 into 2, and even if you don't understand the coordinates, ensure that you take it up with NETA, so that NETA can be able to show you. Then the other thing that should also be noticed is that we have to notice our asymptote. We have our horizontal asymptote from the given equation of the graph. Every time you're given the graph, you should know that this is your horizontal asymptote. It should also be visible on the graph. And what we know about the equation of the horizontal asymptote would be x is equals to +1. That is your horizontal. I'm sorry, it's not x. It is y is equals to +1, which should also be noticed and sketched on the Cartesian plane when you are sketching your graph. Now, these are the two criteria, two indispensable criteria that are needed in order for you to be able to draw the graph. You need to make sure that you calculate your x-intercept and you ensure that you are able to notice your horizontal asymptote, which is y is equals to positive 1. Now that we have noticed that our x-intercept is, the coordinates of our x-intercept is -2 and 0, and the horizontal asymptote is y is equals to positive 1, then we can be able to draw the graph. And this is very simple. It does not require a lot of effort as long as you understand the principles. That the first thing that you have to do is to ensure that you have calculated your x-intercept and you can notice your horizontal asymptote. Now look at what happens with our horizontal asymptote. This would be our 1, which is our horizontal asymptote. Now this is what we do with our horizontal asymptote. You sketch your horizontal asymptote. That is the first thing that should always be sketched, is that it has to be a dotted line, because it's the point where the graph always approaches, a line that the graph approaches but never touches. And once you have drawn your horizontal asymptote, which you can name as y is equals to 1, then you can draw your graph. What happens? We are going to use our x-intercept. -2, 0 is the coordinate that is found here. And remember that because our graph is positive, it's positive 2, our b is positive 2. We said that the graph must fall in the first quadrant, which is going to fall here. You name the graph, which is H, and must also fall on the second quadrant. And look at how it's falling in our second quadrant. In our third quadrant, this is the third quadrant, and this is your -2. Now this is how we sketch the graph. It falls on the first quadrant and the third quadrant. You must ensure that you have your x-intercept and your asymptote. These are the two indispensable criteria that are needed for you to be able to draw the graph. Now in the case where you might have missed or you might have not understood anything that was going on throughout the course of the lesson, please ensure that you submit all of your confusion to NETA so that we can study with you to ensure that you achieve level 6 and 7 in your mathematics, physical sciences, and other subjects. It cannot be that you keep failing and you keep getting low performances from one term to another, while NETA is here for you. We are here to stop that nonsense.